Did you see the teaser for Deadpool 2 that came out before Logan? It was a perfect Deadpool story. Hilarious, shocking, and wait a minute. How did he eat that ice cream? He doesn't have a spoon. You can break the fourth wall all you want, Wade, but don't you for a second try to tell me you eat your ice cream spoonless. Unless...
There is no spoon.
There's no spoon! Deadpool exists within the Matrix! I'd call this one Theory Confirmed. Internet, welcome to Film Theory, the show that's so poor we don't even have a fourth wall to break. This week I'm revisiting Deadpool because, if I'm being 100% honest, I couldn't for the life of me think up any good theories for Guardians of the Galaxy. Seriously, I love that movie, I just had, like, writer's block or something. Groot's speech impediment? That's kind of boring. Who's Peter's dad, which is gonna get revealed in Guardians 2. Like, science of Rocket Raccoon? That's not fun either. Anyway, if you have any good ideas for Guardians, let me know down in the comments. I want to do a video on the franchise so bad. But hey, you know what? That's okay because it gives me an excuse to spend a little bit more quality time with everyone's favorite merc with the mouth, Wade Wilson. Last year's Deadpool movie gave us all the violent comedy that we could ask for. But despite all the cool action scenes and holiday-themed sexy time, the thing everyone loves about this character is his meta-ness. The fact that he talks to us.
Fourth wall break inside a fourth wall break. That's like 16 walls.
He's like the superhero equivalent of a YouTube vlogger. And all he needs to do is ask people to subscribe and get himself a Loot Crate sponsorship, and he has made it. Liza Koshy, you watch your back. Deadpool's coming for ya. Now, during the film, he breaks the fourth wall exactly 23 times to make sure that we're having a good time. But what I'm out to prove today is that Deadpool's most meta joke is the ultimate of wall breaks. A 24th wink at the camera that skirted under all of our collective radars. A move so brilliant, so subversive, and so purely Deadpool that it could only be accomplished in a movie like this one. So my loyal theorists, today I ask you to consider the following. Did Deadpool write Deadpool? Obviously, the movie had real writers credited to Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick, but did they write the movie to be as though Deadpool wrote the movie, creating a script that is, in and of itself, a fourth wall break? A script written by its own character, about himself, starring himself. It's a premise that seems absurd, but then again, absurdity is exactly what this movie and this character are all about. Let's start at the beginning. Deadpool is clearly aware of his role as a movie character and the film in general, and as we see in the opening moments, he's really pleased to finally have a movie all of his own.
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie?
But that's not always the case. In fact, Deadpool has a difficult history with adaptations of his stories. As an example, let's look at the Deadpool video game from back in 2013. The opening scene of the game shows us Deadpool on the phone with the game developers talking about an idea that he'd pitched to them. His name for it, the most awesome game ever. But when High Moon Studios refused to greenlight that pitch,
but the answer is no. We're gonna pass on your big game idea.
He rigs their studio with explosives and forces them to make the game for him.
You know he's gonna call back.
Deadpool! Hey, it's Peter.
Fast forward a bit and we see that Deadpool is worried about, of all things, the script.
Like some dingus word writer's gonna know better than me how to show how amazing I am.
And when he finally gets the script delivered to his door, he absolutely hates it.
As I suspected. Words. Everywhere.
So, he takes it upon himself to rewrite the whole thing in crayon.
I'm making art here.
And he doesn't just stop at the script. We watch as he calls up voice actor Nolan North and hires him for the job of playing himself in the game that we, in that moment, are playing.
Nolan! Hey, what's up, buddy? We're making a game about me. Gotta have you do the VO, man.
So writers of Deadpool stories have clearly shown a history of this character hijacking productions about himself and rewriting them. But that's not all. In the comics, Deadpool has never been shy about talking directly to the writer or artist of any given issue. Take for instance Deadpool Volume 1 where he addressed creator Rob Liefeld directly. So why does he never do that in the movie? Sure, he moves the camera to force the audience to look away from him torturing Agent Smith, but other than that, he never directly interacts with the people making the film, director, sound guy, or writer. Instead, he only complains about the studio, the ones paying for the movie, doing things like complaining that the studio was too cheap to get more than 2 X-Men for their film. But as for the creative creative team? Outside of getting ripped on in the opening credits, he leaves them completely alone, which is a strange decision for a character who does this literally all the time in all his other incarnations, even in moments when that team supposedly screws up.
Whoops. You weren't meant to see that.
Let's focus on this moment for a second. Think about it this way. His fourth wall breaks don't stop the action of the movie. In his opening monologue, we see cars driving past him as he sits on the edge of the highway addressing us. He even mentions directly to Colossus a few minutes later that these fourth wall breaks are specifically for our benefit.
I was talking to them.
These moments show us that outside of the flashbacks, the fourth wall breaks are happening in the moment, in real time. When he adjusts the camera before his torture of Agent Smith, Smith looks directly at the camera before it turns away. This proves that Deadpool is manipulating the fourth wall in these moments as they're being filmed, as they happen, not after the fact or pausing the action to step out of the events of the movie. And yet, when he's caught having special time with his unicorn, he doesn't yell or complain to the editors or the director that they're filming this. In fact, he knows it's being left in the final product of the movie, acknowledging this was a part that we weren't meant to see, but that we're seeing it anyway. But if he's adhering to the rules of his fourth wall breaks as it's been established as they're happening in real time, he wouldn't know this was being left in the final cut. So, long story short, even though Deadpool says we weren't meant to see it, the fact that he comments on the fact that we weren't meant to see it shows that he knows that we're seeing it and that he has approved of the fact that we are seeing it, thus he's in control of how this story is being told. Woo! You got all that? Oh, it's like a logic puzzle. I think I just felt my brain melt through my ear canal. Alright, so if this is the Deadpool origin story as Deadpool would want us to see it, clearly he would want to make himself look as good as possible, right? Right, and that's exactly what he does. In the comics, Deadpool's history is often left vague. The main things about his origin that always tend to remain constant, though, are A, he's a mercenary before his mutation, B, he's Canadian, and C, his superpower comes from Wolverine's blood. Now, Deadpool references Wolverine and Hugh Jackman multiple times throughout the movie, but the movie never mentions any other mutant, Wolverine or otherwise, having anything to do with Deadpool's mutation. In this version of events, the mutation was inside him all along. It's unlocked through lots of torture. This makes Deadpool the star of his own story and not some background character who got his powers riding the coattails of some other mutant. It makes Deadpool inherently special rather than having to get his specialness bestowed upon him by someone else. Speaking of those mutations, in both the comics and the film, Deadpool's only true mutation is the ability to heal wounds really fast, doing things like cutting off and regrowing his hand. But other than that, he's a completely normal human being, which makes some of the things he does in the film a bit far-fetched, even by comic book movie standards. Sure, they reference his special forces training, but for as stellar as Spec Ops training may be, I doubt it gives someone the ability to line up a triple headshot while flipping through the air. Soldiers tend to keep their feet on the ground whenever possible. They ain't training you to be an acrobat. Also, for taking the film at face value, Deadpool would be excellent at soccer, firing blind, sword throwing. In the comics, Deadpool's able to do things like this by using his fourth wall breaking. He reads ahead, jumps between panels, allowing him to do cool stunts and moves like this. But the film version of Deadpool never uses the fourth wall breaking for his own advantage. When in combat, he remains within the world of the film, even if he occasionally strikes a silly pose mid-flight. So where did the Cirque du Soleil murder ability come from? Our only option is that whoever wrote this really wanted Deadpool to come off looking as cool as possible in the final film, even if he might not really have those abilities based on his mutation. And who would want to make Deadpool look like the coolest superhero of all time more than Deadpool himself? While we're on the subject of looking good, Wade Wilson really cares about his appearance. So much so that he completely avoids talking to the love of his life simply because he turned into the human equivalent of a California raisin.
Looks on everything.
Looks are everything. Think Ryan Reynolds got this far on his superior acting method?
Deadpool clearly loves the look of Ryan Reynolds almost as much as he loves stuffed unicorns. And if Deadpool could choose any actor to play him, it would be Ryan. We know this because he's thought of himself this way for years. In Cable and Deadpool Volume 1, Number 2, Deadpool refers to himself as, quote, Ryan Reynolds crossed with a Shar-Pei. And if you think that's just a tongue-in-cheek movie reference, it's worth noting that this issue was from 2004, 5 years before Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in X-Men Origins, and more than a decade before Ryan Reynolds played Deadpool in the good Deadpool movie.
Yeah, like I got bit by a radioactive Shar-Pei.
And remember how in the game we saw Deadpool cast Nolan North for his voice? Well, in a film, it'd be total wish fulfillment for Deadpool, the character, to cast the role of himself as the world's sexiest Canadian. However, the part of the film that feels most like Deadpool's writer wish fulfillment is Wade's relationship with Vanessa. She does appear in the comics, but her story is completely different there. The big difference is that they never get back together. I'm not kidding. Deadpool's epic quest to reclaim his lost love is completely unique to the film. In the comics, she's discovered to be a shape-shifting mutant who also becomes a mercenary after he leaves her. In the film, this relationship is changed from a brief fling to a love story for the ages, complete with the perfect Hollywood ending.
Your crazy matches my crazy.
And as we see throughout Deadpool, Wade just loves himself some romantic movie cheese.
I swear to God, I will find you in the next life, and I'm gonna boombox Careless Whisper outside your window.
I'm just a boy, about to stand in front of a girl.
Even the physics of the movie is rewritten so that Deadpool can give himself his desired happy ending. Ajax has Vanessa in a suffocation chamber made out of glass and metal. Now, earlier in the movie, we saw Wade Wilson escape an identical chamber by launching it across the room with an explosion, which, as you see here, shattered the glass. And yet, when Vanessa's in the exact replica of that chamber, she falls off an aircraft carrier and gets buried in huge slabs of concrete, all after Deadpool has already cracked the glass to help her breathe. So, of course, she emerges without a scratch on her. What? Come on! Look at the size of that concrete slab. As much as I love doing unnecessary math on this show, I don't think I need to crunch any numbers to know that that glass is not gonna be in one piece when she hits the ground. And I'm not even gonna address the fact that Vanessa survives the fall to begin with. More convenient rewrites by the guy in the red and black spandex. Now at this point you might be thinking to yourself, hang on, Matt Pat, this is all possible, but it could also be a load of confirmation bias. And yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. But there is one last minor detail that I think brings it all together. When Agent Smith shows up to recruit Deadpool for the superhero creation program, just listen to what Wade's best buddy Weasel says.
That guy over there came in looking for you. Real Grim Reaper type. I don't know, might further the plot.
But hold on, since when can he break the fourth wall? Until this very moment, no one else seems aware that they're in a movie. The only way this line makes any sort of sense is if Weasel knows that Agent Smith is there to literally further a movie's plot. No one would naturally say this, but it is the sort of logical inconsistency that Deadpool himself would write into a script. And that brings us all the way back around to the opening credits of the film. Each crew and cast member gets themselves a sarcastic description, directed by an overpaid tool, produced by asshats, starring a hot chick, a CGI character, a gratuitous cameo. Of all the titles, the only complimentary ones are for Deadpool himself as God's perfect idiot, and you guessed it, the writers, aka the real heroes. Could it be that Wade Wilson is trying to slip us a little hint as to who he thinks is really to thank for the spectacle you're about to see? But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory. And cut.